Hello, this is MrYellowGiraffe. Before we get into this, I support the revolution, although there are definitely some problems with it, and that's what I am here to talk about. So I'll give information about each section, and I will provide my thoughts on what happened. I've broken the entire proceedings of the thing into 4 different sections. Last one's a little bit different. It is mostly just all my thoughts. And second, I am mostly following a script here, so I'm sorry about that. It has taken me about a week to write this. So yeah, that is what's been up. Also, I have a video planned of making something in one of my other series, and I am working on my next hardcore video. I've just had a lot of schoolwork with my 3 college classes, so yeah. The first part of this that I want to talk about is the planning. I don't use Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, but I use TikTok. I saw the first people floating the idea of a revolution on the day the penguin was announced. I supported the revolution, and I still do. But I liked the mob vote in the past, and I still also am not... It's not that I dislike the mob vote, but there are definitely problems with the way that it's done. If enjoyed participating in the mob vote, I participated in the first one. I voted for the Phantom, as controversial as that sentence may be, and I still like the Phantom. They're cute. And they fly around, and they're really annoying, and I think it's really funny. But within the first few days of the revolution, it seemed fairly small, and then on about day 2 or 3, it started to really explode in the circles of TikTok that I was on. I started to see tons of propaganda posters and different songs used, mostly just Feed the Machine by Poor Man's Poison, and as a revolution anthem, that one works very well. Here's a few of the posters used by the community. I will display them on screen. Not exactly sure who made them, but I'm pretty sure most of them are edits of already existing revolutionary propaganda. These are only a few of them, but this is the basic gist of what all of the propaganda was in the early days of the revolution. So you can get the basic idea from this. Some of the only rhetoric that was being used in the early days of the revolution was that in the first vote, when we as a community chose the Phantom to be the mob we wanted back in the old days when the first vote happened, we basically haven't gotten any of those other mobs, and sure, maybe not that year, because that was the year we got the Phantoms. We also got the water update, so that wouldn't have been the best time to just add the water mob in. But during the Nether update, they could have added the fire mob. I think it was called the Blazing Inferno, was its little name that they gave it. And people have been calling Mojang lazy for the fact that we haven't gotten any of the mobs that we've seen. And the fact that the modding community can kind of just, add them all in really quickly, within the first week that they're announced. Okay. So, time for my thoughts on everything that I've discussed in this first section. First, use of Poor Man's Poison. Amazing band. 10 out of 10. Definitely good revolution songs. Definitely. Yeah, love the band. 10 out of 10. Second, okay, so back years ago during the first mob vote, they told us that they were only going to give us one of them, and the rest were going to get deleted. And the reason they did this is because they only had like 4 very basic concept sketches of what the mobs would look like. And like they're like little gimmicky names. There was like the Monster of the Depths, the Monster of the Night, Monster of the Night Skies, the Creature of the Depths, the Hungering Inferno, and something to do with like the Blaze Emperor or whatever the fuck its name was gonna be. But yeah, like we were never gonna see those mobs again. They were basically like, hey, we're thinking about doing this, so here's like the basics of what we want for one of them, and you tell us which one you want. And we did. We chose the Phantom, and the rest got like totally scrapped. It's only the ones after that that went on the ideas board that everyone keeps talking about, that nothing's been taken from. Second off is the assertion that Mojang is lazy because the modding community can do it all within a week. This both devalues the work that Mojang does in the game. They do a lot, and they are like the biggest company. They are owned by the biggest company in the world. If they weren't at least doing something, Microsoft would make them. And the second point, and I'll come back to this later, but the second point, the modding community, like, sure, they can make, like, a couple of people in their spare time can make the mods required for the little mobs that are announced very quickly. But, like, we don't know if they're gonna have any, like, other reactions, stuff like that. Also, those mods aren't gonna be good. Like, just because of, like, time invested into the product, those mods are not gonna be the best. Like, the idea that, like, oh, sure, the modding community can work super fast. In the long run, that would just hurt the modding community, because not all mods can be made in, like, a few days or a few hours. Like, think of, like, some of the big mods from back in the day. We had Twilight Forest and, like, all of the mods like that. Those sometimes took years between updates. And, like, when they did get updates, they got, like, the amount of stuff that a Minecraft update would give us. And that was entirely made by fans of this game. That's, like, an amazing feat. But just saying that, like, mods can be developed super quickly just seems like it would be hurting that. And, like, even when those mods are good, which, sure, some of the ones that are made quickly can be, I'll give you that. That's only for Java players. And I know, like, as a community, we, like, hate on Bedrock players, and we don't really care about them. That's why the Glare was the first one voted out a few years ago in the mob vote, which, for sure, we can all agree was a good decision. Copper Golems should have won, although I do like the LA. Just full of controversial opinions here. We, like, sure, we have, like, mods and all of this stuff, but Bedrock players don't. And, like, sure, they have some mods, but they're not as good. They are a lot worse, and they even have to pay for some of them, buy them from Mojang, which is just really bad. But, like, Mojang tries to make everything run smoothly on the platform. And, like, they're trying to get more parity and make sure everything works well for everyone that plays the game. Not all modders do that. And definitely the people who make their mods, like, super quick. So, like, yeah, that's basically the end of this section. Time for the next one. Sorry about my, like, random ramblings at the end of, like, that argument just annoys me a lot, and I'm sorry about, like, that. Okay, next section. A few days before the vote, I saw a screenshot going around on TikTok that basically said Mojang was going to add all of the mobs. It was a screenshot from Twitter. After some research of my own, that was basically just I downloaded Twitter and went to Mojang's page. Yeah, it was completely fake. There was nothing real about it. But you know, of course, it was TikTok. And then about the same time that I started seeing that, I started seeing like the invocation of Technoblade, which just like between that and all of the different like posters and the music and like even using like I'm pretty sure old animations, and some of them might have been new, I'm not sure, but they had like the old Minecraft textures for like villagers and stuff, so I'm pretty sure they were older. Just like all of the different propaganda things circling the sphere of the revolution. It brought the community closer than at least the part of it that was on TikTok, closer than the mob vote ever has. And I think that is amazing. And then my third point here in the like events that happened leading up to the vote. A few days before the vote, I started seeing a petition circling around that was basically like sign here, boycott the vote, and it got like 500,000 signatures in those like 3 to 4 days that it was circling around before the vote started. And like I'll give my thoughts on this here in a minute, but just that is a spectacular turnout for like a vote, like for like a poll like that on like how the community in this area feels about the vote. Just the number is fascinating that it's like a 500. That is just so many people. Okay, time for the critiques of this section. My first critique: fake screenshots. That's just blatantly trying to get people to stop talking about the revolution. Which, as far as I can see, it didn't work, which is good. Misinformation, it's not good. No one likes it. Just no one likes misinformation. Second off, the boycott. Let me start by saying that at this point in the revolution, an air quotes boycott was not a very good idea. Like, first off, the mob vote is an advertising campaign, so boycotting an advertisement doesn't really work because you are not like promoting it, stuff like that. But in the theory of like pushing for a boycott, you kind of are like bringing light to the fact that there is an advertisement, and the fact that like boycotts are generally targeted at like companies that you would like purchase from or shop at and stuff like that or support. And you were saying to boycott the vote specifically. That's not really how a boycott works, and it doesn't really do anything on an advertising campaign if it's not hurting the company, because the company won't care. Second off, the push for the revolution was already a subset of the community. Even if in like a small subset, even if you had 90% like approval and signatures on the petition, and they actually everyone from the petition actually followed through and didn't vote, that's still a small percent in like a minority of the votes that could be cast. Those small children that play Minecraft and participate in the mob vote, that aren't on Twitter or TikTok that would have no knowledge of the revolution or the boycott or anything to do with this. It's like the idea that we could band together and like solve this problem that we see, like that's an amazing idea. But pulling the community together and telling them not to vote wasn't. The whole idea behind it didn't work just at all for what it was trying to do. And like, because this is post-vote now, we know that more people have voted for this single or mob vote than have ever voted in the past. Which is amazing for Mojang, but really bad for the people who boycotted it, because they effectively did nothing. Okay, time for moving on to the next chapter. When I woke up, I started watching Minecraft Live. It was weird. If you were watching Minecraft Live this year, you will know why it was weird, but I don't really want to get into that. It took me like a week to write this script, and I just didn't want to like add more talking about the reasons that Minecraft Live was weird this year. But it was. But basically, like, the entirety of the YouTube chat was people saying, stop the vote, or stop the vote, give us all 3, and occasionally someone basically said, hey, I like this mob, and then they would get drowned out again. And then, like, at the time the penguin got announced, they received the least votes, and they were basically terminated from the contest about 30 minutes, I think, before everything else, like, the winner was announced. And the announcer, I forgot his name, basically told us not to worry, because there was a chance that they could make their way into the game later by saying that, like, the frog did, because the frog did lose a vote for the game. But they lost the biome vote. In the biome vote, everything that lost was still getting added. That was the big whole push behind it. Everything that lost the biome vote was still getting added at some point. That's different for the mob vote. The mob vote puts things onto the ideas board of things that they could and possibly will add to the game years down the line. That is just a completely different thing than saying, we are definitely going to do this. That's a, hey, we might do this, we might not. Choose which one you want now, or you may never see them again. Just did not like that. Okay. Later on, they announced that the armadillo won, and that really didn't change anything. In the chat, there was still clamor of people saying to end the vote, and then eventually the stream ended. I don't really have much to say about this, other than I do like the armadillo, and I think it'll add a lot to the savannah biome. But yeah, this section, like, there wasn't really much to talk about here, and that's basically kind of what the next section is for, so let's move to that. I haven't really seen much online talking about the vote, other than the fact that, like, the armadillo won, and, like, brief mentions that, like, the revolution failed. But, like, that's not a very good sign for the revolution, which I see as a problem. Just because the movement lost doesn't mean we should abandon the campaign till next year, when we will go through all this again. And it will again inevitably fail because of an immense lack of planning and communication between people taking charge of the resistance. Like, I don't know how to lead a revolution. I don't pretend to. But if we're going to have a revolution, we need a well thought out plan that the majority of the community knows about and agrees with. Otherwise it will never work, and every year the community will be divided, and we will all be disappointed. We need to organize sooner. We need to organize before the votes are announced, so that we can agree on what we're going to do as a community. Not just like, oh, these bunch of people on TikTok are annoyed and they made a video about it and a bunch of people agreed with them, so now we're going to do something. We need to start this at least a month before, or we can just keep going. We already built the inertia with this year's mob vote. If we can hold on to even a fraction of the inertia that was built from this year, we stand a good chance at being well prepared next year. Maybe even with like an actual plan that people can do to help with the movement. I'll leave you to consider like everything that I've said, and I'll leave you with these last few words. Viva la resistance!